All right, we are live. Woohoo!
Live from LU, joke. Not not
Yeah,
us.
well, one of us is. One of us is. Thankfully, she seems safe and cozy over there. So, hello everybody. Welcome wherever you're watching and listening from. We have an exciting interview coming right up with the Attic Room over here, Louise of the Attic Room. Louise, why don't you tell our audience first how they can follow the Attic Room and where?
Yeah, about it. Yeah.
Hi, the Attic Room is on Instagram. We're actually more active on Instagram than Facebook. Um, we're basically a beachfront co-working space. We You can find us around the compound where one of the La Union staples are El Union, Macaibo,
Shout
Sabong,
outs.
Kermit, La Union. So we're
Yes.
very easy to find. uh
Yay. Okay, well, we're definitely gonna get into all of that in a bit. So let's get started. Hello, everyone. This is Hustle Inside the Industry, where we talk to professionals and find out how they got here, why they're doing what they do, and what it takes to do it. We are live right now here on all Rappler channels, including Kumu. If you're streaming us on Kumu, please join the conversation. You can send over some questions on the comments wherever you're watching from, or if on Kumu, some diamonds if you like what you hear.
And if you're not yet in Kumu, you can download the app. That's Kumu Kumu. And when you do, follow Rapper.com. So we spell out the .com. So it's Rapper DOTCOM.
Nice. If you like this interview and you want to play it back in podcast form, just follow Hustle Inside the Industry on Spotify or any podcast platform. This episode comes out Monday, October 18th. As always, this is Powie.
And this is Tristan. We are part of Rapper's Hustle team.
So,
So
if you were
Pavi.
tuning in last week to our episode with Icarus Theater Collaborative, you might have noticed that I was streaming from a cozy beach spot in La Union, as seen in Luis's screen. This particular spot is a rather young business, but its story is very unique and quite telling of current trends both in modern productivity and domestic tourism. So, the Attic Room. It's a co working space situated right along the San Juan beachfront in La Union. It is a sanctuary for digital nomads like Tristan and myself.
Because
And here to talk with us all about it, we have the co founder of the Attic Room, Luis Fortines. Welcome.
welcome, Louise.
Hi, thank you for.
So like, I'm Pavi. Like I noticed, like it's 2 weeks now. Now we have the attic room, like in our show. So
Oh,
last week it was you,
that's true.
now it's Luis. Yeah.
That's true.
So anyway, so Luis, so the beachfront, as Pawi mentioned earlier, beachfront co-working space. It's a pretty straightforward thing. So, but we want to get it in your own words. So, like, can you paint us a quick
Mhm.
picture of what the attic room is? Like, what's the vibe around there? Elevator
Well,
pitch us.
we're pretty much a 40 square meter co-working space, so it's probably the smallest co-working space that you can find. Being in La Union is more about selling the lifestyle, really, selling the lifestyle of surf and then work and then surf and then work, and also the Attic Room La Union is part of this really good community of industries, of entrepreneurs who are working to help each other, to see each other, you know, get through this pandemic. So
Hmm.
it's a really nice place to work in. Ayan.
Yeah,
So,
no, it's,
Pawi,
yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say like it kind of embodies like what we stand for in our section hustle. It's work and
Yeah.
play, and also
Yeah.
wellness in a way
I
since
think
amidst the
that
pandemic. Yeah.
means Tristan and I are gonna pack our bags and move there permanently. That can be our permanent hustle HQ.
Okay,
No,
no
but
work.
I love it. Um,
So we some
yeah, yeah.
play.
Well, that's the Rappler office. And then Louise is in her office, and I'm in my bedroom. There you go. Um, digital nomads, everybody.
Oo.
Okay. So, I'd like to take this opportunity also to remind everyone wherever they're watching to please send over your questions if you have any for Louise. That is, and also if you like what you hear, some diamonds on Kumu. So anyway, Louise, it's pretty obvious that there's a fascinating story behind all this. So I want to get right into it. What's the story over here behind the attic room? What were you personally and your co-founders doing professionally prior to all of this, and then how did boom the attic room just happen around last year, I believe.
Well, there were four founders of the Attic Room. That's me, Brian, Rada, and Don. Me and Don were already friends back in my hometown in Davao. And then Brian, I met through a mutual friend. And then Rada, actually, well, the idea of the Attic Room came up because me and Rada were locked down in La Union last year. So we were
Wow.
stranded in one house
Is he nice?
for it,
Yeah, yeah, right.
it was it was challenging because we had to move from transient to transient for about 6 months. So
Wow.
well, it's nice that I've actually met Rada, such a unique person, during the lockdown because even though we moved for about six houses during that 6 month period, we really stuck together. We really said that wherever you are, I'm gonna go there, and then I'm gonna stay there too. Ganon. And
Wow.
then we just thought that since we already spent so much time in La Union, we've already kind of established the lifestyle that we want here. Why don't we just put up something? Especially Rada was really passionate about starting something already. And then we started looking for opportunities. And then the former property manager of the Great Northwest, where the attic room is, was our friend and also was also locked down with us. So when he showed us the space, which used to be a turtle conservation office, so
Oh,
when he
that's where
showed us
that
the space, he
was.
said that uh, it was previously Kurma. If you're familiar with
Mm,
Kurma,
Hmm.
yeah.
and then when he showed us the space, he said something like some architect firm is beating you to it. And then
Oh
we said
no.
no, we'll just turn it into a co-working space and then they'll work for us or something. So ayun, we made the pitch to the property and then we got the space. Ayun.
So actually, I wanna bring that up because when you think about it, it's like very happenstance. Okay, we were locked down. So how do
Yeah.
you make the most? It's like we were
Mm-mm.
assembled. We are here for a reason. Lahat
Mm-mm.
tayo, parang we have common
Mm-mm.
goals, right? We just met in a way. So I wanna delve into the aspect of like building a business amidst the pandemic, amidst social distancing. So
Mm.
how did
Mm.
you from this idea, from this lockdown baby basically, how did you execute that na okay,
Hmm.
let's start convincing people to use the space to
Mm.
how did you basically get people to join in basically in the idea of the attic room, and how did you like find this digital nomad community?
Well, it wasn't really there wasn't really much convincing kasi when I stayed here last year before the lockdown, I was in La Union for a month just working from different restaurants, trying out different restaurants to see which
Yeah.
workspace would be good for me.
Or
So
which has the
even
best
then, I was
Wi-Fi.
already looking for a co-working space.
Yeah.
Oo, yeah. And even though yung walang wifi, we needed something na kahit yung data usage is strong. But in Orbiston though, you can't find a strong data connection as well.
Yeah.
So it was already a necessity for me back then. And then it's kind of if there was one person who needed a co-working space, then there are probably more people who also need a co-working space. In fact, it's also we have people who are from nearby cities or nearby provinces who message us on Instagram saying na oh my god, this is the thing that I was looking for when I was in La Union. I needed this before or something like that. So yeah, I think there was already a market for it. There was only parang they were just looking for somebody who wanted to start it. So ayun.
Yeah, and I would assume,
And
ano rin eh,
oh,
I would assume you're not the only people who got locked down there, or if
oh,
hindi
Hmm.
na locked down, like since working remotely became a thing, it's like, sige, let's
Right,
all
uh,
work from from
right.
La Union.
mm-mm. That's true. Um, Currently we're catering to people who travel for a week or for 2 weeks or something.
Like Pawi.
For last year,
Yeah, like me. Except I came.
we
Hey,
really,
right, Luis. There's a lot of people who it starts with a week and then 6 months later,
uh,
you know.
yes, exactly. Oh, because that's the same thing I did last year. Parang I went
Right.
here, okay, just do three days, and then it seems good. It's chill on the weekdays. Ang weekends yung medyo maano. Back then before the lockdown happened. So I think it's still conducive na province for working. So okay, let's do another week and then another week and then it turned into a
Right.
month until naabutan na ng lockdown. So
Right, right, right. I definitely want to talk a bit more about that. As you can see, I'm a little
mm-mm.
distracted on my phone because I just want to give a shout out to some friends who are watching. Yo-Yo Lex sent us some diamonds on Kumu. Thank you for that. And also our dear friend Ayel Mary. What up,
Ayaw.
Ayel? Who was constantly messaging me while I was in La Union, and as well as a few friends who were there, being like, "Okay, so should should I make the move?" The answer is yes, Ayel.
Ayaw nga
And
said,
I
I
told him,
might be there next week, he said. He just
"Ayan."
commented.
So now he can. Oh, there you go. You have
Mm-mm.
another customer, Luis. I wanted to just
Use the promo
uh,
code.
I
Christian
wanted to dig
Pawi.
See
into
you,
that
see
last
you.
uh QR. I wanted to dig into that last sentiment a bit, just to paint a picture, because I was there and like you could meet these people, but could you think you could just give our audience like a quick idea of the kinds of people that were there, the little community that formed? Because when I was there, it was and I happened to be friends with a few tech founders or tech
Uh-uh.
executives, and give
Uh-uh.
the audience a sense of like the kind of people who started to really set up, move over to La Union and kind of like use your
Mm.
space and such.
Uh-uh. We have clients here who are in the outsourcing industry. Some people who are working for big tech companies, others who actually started up tech companies as well. Others are teachers. It's a really a melting pot of different people, of different backgrounds, and sometimes we really like it when our coworkers, that's what we call our customers, we really
Hmm.
like it when our coworkers kind of bond together and then call themselves the attic room classmates. So
What? That's
um
so
they're
fun.
they're it's 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 a good community to find people who are very diverse. You'll find musicians here, you'll find young entrepreneurs, you'll find people who are working for for cafes and then starting up their own cafes. So there are really
Wow.
different stories and really different personalities in La Union, which we kind of love here in the province. Kaya, that's probably why people stay here for an indefinite period of time.
Right, right. And as you mentioned earlier, it was like inevitable that you
Mm-mm.
would form a dedicated space for it because that was kind of what people were doing already. I also want to shout out our
Mm-mm.
producer Jaira in the background, who is definitely getting FOMO, and I know that she she wants to try it out herself. Anyway. So speaking of stories, you know, the attic room story is obviously far from over, and neither is this ongoing pandemic, unfortunately. Until now, it seems on both a national level and regional level, the situation has constantly wavered between like different levels of community quarantine, which we know
Mm-mm.
will affect something like you, a co-working space, right? Like a physical place
Mm-mm.
where multiple people are supposed to, cohabit.
Mm-mm.
So I just wanted to ask, what has the situation been like lately, even though I was there, but in from your perspective, and how are you keeping everything afloat and maintaining that communal vibe
Mm-mm.
despite all this?
I think um, the pandemic really forced a lot of businesses to close, including co-working space. We hear a lot of co-working space closing in different areas in the Philippines. We also have a client before who also previously owned a co-working space. So
Oh,
I think we just got lucky because we're situated in the province. Of course, it's more lenient in the province, and also um, being in La Union or in Urbistondo, if your business is situated in Urbistondo, you mostly get open spaces, a lot of open spaces. You get
yeah.
a lot of
You have a lot of windows
room
there.
to roam around or something, and a lot of windows also. So I think it's not that scary since it's not a closed space. We're not really tightly seated together or something. And also, um, we got lucky in terms of people turning to remote work. A lot of people were forced to do remote work. So um, I think that's the advantage because people turn to the province, people turn to the beach. They said, no, no, ayoko na ng city life. Let's do the provincial life and
Same,
just
same.
live chill, ganon.
Yeah.
Let's live by the beach. Let's try living by the beach. A change of scenery, a change of lifestyle. So we got lucky because people are in that mentality. Yeah, and it's also still slow. It's still slow kasi co-working space and travel go together. So with travel restrictions, it's really hard to push,
Ah, yes.
the co-working space. Oo.
Yeah.
So I think it's it's just we'll just try to look at it as an advantage na um, we're just taking it slow, and we're grateful that we're given the time to actually know our customers, to actually know the industry as well, taking it little by little. Kasi we're very young, we're very new into this industry, and we're also new to entrepreneurship. So we're gonna make a lot of mistakes pa. So
Yeah.
I suppose taking it slow is only an advantage for us instead of a disadvantage.
Yung
Ayun.
parang, I call those people who are finding the beauty of provincial life a reverse bell.
Reverse
Because like
bell.
Bell, yeah,
Yeah.
because like Bell from Beauty and the Beast.
There
There
must
must be
be more
three.
to this
Go.
provincial life.
Oh, pero yeah, it's a reverse bell.
Definitely.
Anyway, so actually we have a great question regarding this basically finding one another in La Union or any wherever you get locked down. So Luis, just like how the attic room was formed by you people, like finding okay, let's do something while we're locked down in here.
Uh,
A question from Diego or D1 EGO or DG0
D1 ego.
EG0. Yeah. Is are were there any other people like who found themselves together in your co-working space and then ended up working as collaborators? He just wants
mm,
to, yeah, to go to some stories.
I'm not sure if those projects push through, but sometimes some of our clients would look for um, uh, a remote worker here or a writer here, an illustrator here, something ganon. So sometimes we also have staff here who does that, and ayun, I think they were asking for it. Sometimes they would say na, can I steal your content manager? So,
Right, right.
something like that. So I'm not sure if those projects push through, but really a lot of people in the outsourcing industry who come to work here are also looking for creatives who are already situated in the province. Ganon. And it's
Yeah.
nice because a lot of we can recommend a lot of people here kasi well, La Union is a creative community in itself. Ayun. It really
Yeah.
has a lot of that talent here. Ganon.
Yeah. I
For
definitely
sure.
want to continue to give a shout out to your area, Great Northwest, because I spent most of my time there, and El
Oo.
Union is
Are you Sepangs?
not
Sepangs ka
not
na ba?
just ano, no, but yeah, for sure, actually. But El Union's
Mm,
not only a good friend, but they were
mm,
previous guests on the show. So we had Kiddo and
mm,
Ami a year ago.
mm,
But anyway, um, back then we were speaking with Kiddo about the pandemic situation. This
oo.
time, a situation has come to the fore recently with Typhoon Maring. So I think we should definitely address that. So let's ask you, how are you doing? How's the area doing right now? And speaking of this community, this tight knit community that we've been speaking about, how has everyone been playing their part in terms of
Mm.
recovery?
Well, mostly most parts are already back to their routines. Most people are back to work, ganon. Road clearing is still ongoing on some areas. We haven't really visited the cities that are greatly affected by the flood, but um, for sure, even though most of the parts of La Union have already moved on, there are a lot of barangays who are still flooded and who are still need help. So that's one thing that we also want to highlight, that there are still donation efforts, that there are still fundraising efforts in the city, in the province. For us in the attic room, we were actually left open during the typhoon itself. Kasi it's tough to open during the typhoon, but there it's still a Monday for some people, like I said to you, Pawi. So
Right, the hustle.
oo. Yeah,
Grabe.
people still need to go into meetings kahit na we had to shut all our windows kasi sobrang lakas na ng hangin, and then we
Wow.
sometimes feel the tremble of the whole building every time the wind blows. But it's good that we were able to provide shelter and a workspace for people who are stranded during the typhoon. We've also just helped with our friends who are doing donation drives. Also, just today we drop off some food packs for the volunteers, which I would like to mention the La
Yeah.
Union Surf Club. They are doing a donation drive, and they are supporting our local government towards helping these families who are displaced. A lot of businesses here in La Union are into fundraising. So most of their sales are going to go to helping out these families. One of our frequent collaborators, the one who did some of our chairs, Timber Design Lab. So
Wow.
those are some of the companies you want to look into and support if you also want to help the families. And
Yeah.
Okay,
We
so
can we can even plug some of those in the article, maybe, Tristan.
sige, we can link out to
that
them.
would be nice.
Mhm.
Sige. So moving forward, kasi
Mm-mm.
Luis, normally when we do this interviews, we also wanna get the perspective of industry professionals like you regarding your respective niche communities or your respective industries. So you're part of the co-working space industry. So it's alongside stuff like boutique tourism, community hubs. So I wanted to ask lang, like we wanted to ask questions about your inspiration. Like, are there other businesses in LU and the Philippines, or maybe even globally, that you take inspiration from? Like, is there such a thing as like a global digital nomad trend
Right.
na
Because
you look into
right.
and like yeah, you
No, but
adapt
I
towards
mean,
to? Yeah,
Of
Louis, you
course, there
comfortably call
is.
yourselves a
Oh,
co-working space, but you're
yeah.
a very unique
uh,
co-working space, right? So yeah, what are there other ones like you? Like,
we're very
Yeah.
straightforward as a co-working space. Oo.
uh,
Um, uh, for us at the attic room, before we started, I actually consulted with some of my friends in Davao City who put up their own co-working space as well. I want to give a shout out to Marks of Space Lab, and also
Nice.
Miss Regina of DreamWorks. So before in Davao City, I was also uh, working there, and then I really love how other other Asian countries are doing their own co-working space. So they are usually situated in the tourism spots um, in different countries. And I think that's what we want to do with the attic room. We really like that we're situated near the surf. You know, we really want to sell that lifestyle. Now, when you come in, you work a little, take a little break, go out to surf, take a
Yeah.
shower, and then come back to work. You know, that's really
Uh,
what we wanted, what we wanted for people to do. Um, but still, since we're 40 square meter co-working space, there's limited things that we can offer. So we're still pretty straightforward. You know, just grab a chair, work. That's really what we can offer at the moment. So yeah, we really love co-working spaces in the situated sa mga baybayin. So ayun.
And probably like I think rin kasi, 'di ba, I mean even in the past naman, co-working spaces were already booming. A lot of people were already
mhm.
realizing na okay, you
Mm,
can work outside of the office and be
mm,
productive
mm,
elsewhere. Pero
mm,
like because of this pandemic,
mm.
because of it
Exactly.
basically changed our perspective of like the office. Like
Oo.
okay,
Oo.
apparently hindi mo pa talaga kailangan ng office. So now
Yeah.
Yeah.
all the more people are more willing to like get out of the office, do their
Oo.
jobs elsewhere, and even after that, we don't see the traditional office setup coming back, diba? Like it might be a
Correct.
hybrid, if
Correct.
ever
Oh,
man lang.
yeah. I think we have clients here who wanted to move their whole office in the beach or in La
Wow.
Union. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of our clients are really open into that idea of hiring
Rappler ba?
yung
Hindi.
mga
Rappler ba yung nag-inquire?
Oo. Mm. Well,
Kidding,
that's really
kidding. I love
possible. But
management.
co-working space in the Philippines is still young, especially in the tourist spots, especially sa mga bay areas. I think 2016 or 2017, a co-working space in La Union wouldn't have worked. I think we've seen it before from past businesses.
Right.
Um, but since people are forced to do remote work now, I think they're really open to the idea of um, changing the way we work, I suppose.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
wellness
and
kasi,
changing.
diba? Like,
That's another tagline
wellness
of
rin.
And
from a different company.
no, well, I mean, changing the way you work and play, right? And kind of integrate,
Uh,
like you said, it's work and surf, and maybe some turf.
uh,
But no, this is fantastic. I think you're conveying everything like very accurately over the airwaves, so to speak, the internet waves, because that's definitely the vibe over there. I do want to remind everyone, no matter where they're watching from, that you can send over some questions. We definitely have more time in this interview. Any questions to Luis about La Union or co-working or specifically the attic
Surfing.
room, please send them over. And
mm,
surfing, yes,
uh,
for sure, surfing tips. I want to shout out O'Neill Serdena, who sent us a ton of diamonds. Thank you so much for that. Everyone follow his lead, please. We could use them.
O'Neill or
But
one yo, sir.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Deciphering.
Gosh, well, okay, well, what we've been speaking of a lot lately is like this idea of digital nomads and really how
mm.
people are changing. Like when I was there, it was just a ton of hanging out with multiple people who really they I think even some
They
of them even
vibe
like
together.
bought a house there. Yeah, they're really
uh,
like planting there. So it makes sense that the office
I
is
see.
gonna yeah,
Uh,
it makes sense that some people are thinking of even like bringing an office. Um and also okay, let's we have a couple questions left here, but and keep sending more over if you have any. Speaking of earlier, when you're talking about kind of the fluctuation of the situation because of travel situations or whatever, do you think that with a few months left in 2021, the attic room is gonna settle back into a steadier rhythm again? You think more people are gonna ease into La Union towards the end of the year and really build an even bigger digital nomad community there.
Yes, I really think so. One of Because we opened last year during the same time. We opened back in October, and then one of our highest selling months was December, December and November. Even though we were
Wow.
actually really new, so I think people people are gonna try to spend some holidays in the province, really by the beach. So also, if people are into surfing, La Union is the place to go when the last quarter is on. So actually, right now it's already pumping. The waves are already pumping, so it's already good for surfing. A lot of surf spots are working. So I think a lot of people are gonna try and work in La Union in the coming last months of the year. Mm-mm. Especially that there is a space for them to work in. Also, some of the hotels and some of the restaurants are also offering a good workspace now. Mm-mm. I think
Mm.
I think it's a good thing that people are considering converting their spaces into a proper workspace, because in that way it could mean that La Union is becoming this co-working hub, so where people like us digital nomads could really
Yep.
live and work. So yeah.
Mhm.
So, actually, Luis, di ba, kanina when you said a call for questions, sabi namin surfing questions.
uh
So, a question came in, pero surfing the net, not para the waves.
I was
so,
already. I had my face palm ready. It
so,
was ready. I knew where it was
so
going.
one of our viewers noticed how good the net was there. So even Pawi last week had no problems when it came to connection. So
Yeah.
he's just asking, is there a cap for bandwidth? That's from Ayel Marie.
Mm,
They're
um,
basically asking about your amenities. Baka you wanna plug na
well,
Yeah.
rin.
Yeah. Show him off.
actually, well, the attic room is at 100 Mbps, and
Woo.
that's
It's
actually
crazy.
average
Nice.
for about 10 people. So,
Wow.
we also have our own Ethernet ports on our tables. All our tables have built-in sockets and built-in Ethernet ports that could reach to about 300 Mbps. So if you are doing some really uh,
Esports.
what do you call
Heavy
it, bandwidth
surfing.
heavy,
Dota.
heavy surfing.
uh,
If you're really
yeah. Torrents. Nothing
yeah.
illegal. Sorry. Okay. Go on. Go on.
Uh,
VPN kasi VPN.
uh,
VPN. Um. No. 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 I can definitely attest to that. Something
You can attest
just
to the
popped.
VPN or
Uh, to
kidding.
the to the to the 100 Mbps. That was pretty nuts. But I did. If you noticed earlier, I lost my train of thought, but I remembered what I was getting at. Um, I think one of the one of the unique character one of the unique traits of your business also compared to other co-working spaces is it's the kind that is actually built for the current situation. I mean, again, you were kind of inevitably a reaction to the global pandemic, but at the same time, to riff off
mm,
what Tristan was saying earlier about the rise of co-working spaces, that was hit so hard during the pandemic because it's kind of like, no, you can't be in public
uh,
spaces with all these people whatever.
Mm,
But since you, well,
mm,
obviously traveling to LU already has health screenings and whatnot. You really have to
mm,
have taken your test before even entering the region and all that.
mm.
You seem to be the perfect response to this. So that's really what I wanted to say earlier. Um, Another thing I wanted to ask,
Uh-uh.
on the note of community, we were talking about all the great small businesses, not just in Great Northwest, but really around the
Mm-mm.
area. Why don't you tell us how some of the businesses like yourselves have started kind of working together and integrating yourselves into each other's business, bringing business to one another, so to speak.
Well, for us at the attic room, um, it was really the idea of our property manager before, our former property manager and good friend, who gave us the idea of doing the work from La Union package. So that's what we're
Yes.
currently doing with the attic room. We're trying to give people the opportunity to come to La Union, stay here in a in a room or in a house, and then come work at the attic as well. Try out the remote work in La Union, the beachfront co-working in La Union, and then well, in that sense, we're working with a lot of drivers. We're working with a lot of transient homes as well, and also, ayun, one of our frequent collaborators is Din Fuentes of Orbis Garden and Timber Design Lab.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
really bring in a lot of our clients to Orbis Garden as well. Din Fuentes is a really good friend of mine, and so it's good that we are able to share clients and also share our own uh, what we can offer. So,
Yeah.
Mama Dean, Mama Dean, that's what we call her.
Aw, that's nice.
Really did a lot of the designs in the attic room as well. The recent improvements in the attic room. So we have our pegboards, our new chairs from timber. So, ayun. And also our signage. We actually didn't have a signage for a really long time. And then
Speak easy
when
lang
I
ah.
became friends with Din Fuentes,
Yeah.
we started working on that signage first, and then the work started to uh, just start. The work started to keep rolling. Ganon.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean
I think it's
Tristan.
more of finding good collaborators. Ganun lang yun talaga. Finding people who you can really trust, finding people who are great at what they do, and then you know, yun na,
it's
tuloy-tuloy na
it's
yun.
only natural, I feel,
Oo,
right?
oo,
Because that's how
oo.
you started. Tristan kind of said it earlier, like parang speakeasy, and that's kind of the vibe because they're all the way upstairs, they're above Kermit.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
when you're down like near
Oo
El
nga
Union, you
naman,
just see
attic
these
room tayo
yeah.
mas
lights.
oo nga pala.
Oh yeah, it's an
That's
attic
why
room,
that
diba?
Wait,
that's why the name kind of
Okay.
makes sense, you
ngayon
know.
lang nag-click.
Do you
The name kind of makes
Why don't
sense.
you convert? You should convert at night. You like flip the table. It's a bar table now. Boom. Bring out
That
the
was
liquor.
something that our friends wanted to do. So when we started before, we had really plenty of people who work at nighttime. So that's why we opened
Yeah.
until 11 before. So by around 7 or something, 7 we start drinking and working and drinking and working.
Uy, after
So
7
Wait.
na, so can we do that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kidding,
Happy
kidding.
hour. No, wait.
mm,
Luis, just to give you a heads up, I'm in no position to give advice on this matter, but I just assume that, um, especially once international travel
mm,
will open up a bit and
mm,
more foreigners come into
mm,
La Union who are remote, they might be working other time zones. So who knows?
mm.
Maybe you will convert into a more like 24/7
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
spot.
actually
Sige, so
that is the plan. But of course, La Union is still under curfew, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That's for sure.
that's hard. That's hard to do when the curfew is still up. Although we're trying to connect with the local government if they can give us an exemption, just like how they give, Jollibee or McDo or something like that.
Oh,
So,
really? I didn't
oh,
even know that.
oh,
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, Jollibee and McDo is 24 hours in San Fernando City. So,
Oh,
ayun.
Wow. So
If
Luis,
that's possible, yung mahirap lang is the transportation of our staff, because some of our staff live in different areas in San Juan, so it would be hard to reach if there's no mode of transportation at night.
so Luis, next steps na lang. We need you to sign these papers for for Pawi's royalties for sharing that.
thank you. Oh, we're still on the air. We're still live, by the way.
So thanks for attending this pitch
Yeah,
session.
yeah,
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 this long game.
yeah. Long
Anyway,
game, long game. Yeah.
so we wanna normally kasi we also ask our guests kasi we are dreamers, me and Pawi. So we also like to see where the ideas of our guests where what's the path moving forward for them. So we want to ask you like what do you think is the future for co-working spaces and basically tourism since you're a beach town beyond this
Mm-mm.
pandemic, like if things normalize or if they ever normalize, how will things adapt and change?
Well, I think since a lot of digital nomads are already turning to La Union as their 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 next city to go to work and something, I think that a lot of co-working space, or probably makeshift co-working space, are gonna open in La Union. We had those before. Actually, there are other co-working space in the province. Some of them are just not beachfront. so,
Oh, maybe
so
in
May
like
beach
yeah,
Baguio and
tayo.
stuff. I assume
May
like
beach ba kayo?
Baguio and
Kami meron.
may view kami.
yeah,
We
yeah,
have the
yeah.
view of the sunset here.
But as long as it's outside of the city, no, outside of the
Uh,
city.
but I think that co-working space, co-working co-working itself in La Union is just about to boom, and of course, a lot of other Bay Area provinces in the Philippines are just about to follow. You know,
Nice.
so that's I think the future is good for co-working.
Yeah. Well, co-working on domestic tours, right, Tristan? Like ever since last year, especially Hustle, we were putting out all sorts of articles predicting, right, the industries you ran that piece, and one of them was like domestic
Ganun
travel,
eh.
not Tristan.
We ask the people to share their predictions and then we write articles about it, putting our
Yeah.
names on it. Exactly.
We're the interviewers. No, but it's really what the way I see this interview and this narrative is kind of a marriage of two industries that are kind of
Mm,
they're symbiotic now, or at least in the form of yourselves, which is again co-working
Like
and
Venom.
productivity, and the
mm-mm,
other one being
mm-mm.
domestic tourism.
Yeah.
So for me, that's actually
And those
very
two really go hand in
encouraging.
hand. Oo.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
who would have thought, no? But anyway, you said the magic buzzword, and this is our last question for the interview. Any last bits of advice for these digital nomads that
Mm.
we've been speaking of? Because you yourself are one of them. So what
Yes,
would you
I
say?
am. So, well, if you were still starting out as a digital nomad, I think it's good to be able to diversify your portfolio. Be able to learn different trades, be able to learn different skills, and then find out what you're really good at. Um, I think a strong work ethic is still key. Being an out of office employee can mean a lot of distractions are nearby, or maybe the bed is calling you too much. You know, but um, e- even in a digital setting, a strong work ethic is still key. And in contrast to that, I think having that work and life separation is still vital. You know, for other freelance remote workers like me, um, all this flexible time can mean all of my time.
Yeah.
there's no more time for other activities. You're just focused on work or something. So be able to schedule work, be able to schedule, um, meeting friends or doing something that you love. Um, yeah, just doing activities that really spark joy for you. Uh,
I like that.
so you don't burn out in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And otherwise, you just throw them away, right, Tristan? If they don't spark joy,
Mm.
throw them away. Condo
Mm.
that. Anyway, I was just checking if we had any extra questions, but okay, that's actually the perfect note to bring us to our closing segment. We're gonna wrap things up now with our play of the
Play of
week.
the week. Ting, ting,
Play
ting.
of the week. Tristan,
Let me sound effects na
Tristan,
tayo eh.
we gotta like time. How is it? Okay. Anyway, we'll practice next time. Anyway, we talked a
Work in
lot
progress
about
and work
work.
in progress.
Yeah, work in progress. Yeah. We talked a lot about work in progress. Now let's talk about play. Any fun activities or recommendations for our listeners to unwind from the busyness of business? Why don't you go first, Luis?
Um, Actually, I'm catching up with a lot of sitcoms.
Oh,
I love
Chills.
watching
Game.
sitcoms right now,
what's it gonna
because
be?
there's really no headspace for me to watch really deep and disturbing movies. So let's
Right,
just do
right.
sitcoms for now. Let's dumb it down a little. So
Yeah.
I just finished Modern Family actually.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Yeah, it's
How
fun.
about you, Tristan?
Sige. Actually,
Tristan
since you
normally
talked
recommends
about,
shows.
yeah,
Yeah.
shows, diba? Actually, ano, I'm gonna do a digression a bit. Kasi, since Luis talked about sitcoms, I wanna suggest rin a sitcom sa kanya. Like, if you wanna
Sige,
try
go.
something, I like this sitcom. I watched it like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. It's Mythic Quest. It's on,
Oh,
it's on
Mythic
Apple
Quest.
TV
Yeah.
Plus.
Mythic
Yeah.
Quest.
So it's
It's
from
an
the
Apple
guys
TV
who
Plus one.
made, yeah, it's from the guys who made Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
So it's basically imagine a workplace comedy but set in a video game company. So it has all the
Okay.
mixes of like Silicon Valley, meron siya may pagka The Office siya,
Oh, that's so
may
fun.
pagka community siya. So if you want to try that. Anyway, for
Tristan, I
my
always thought
own
that was
play, yeah,
Mythic.
animated. Is that not animated?
it's not animated. It's
Ah, okay.
hindi siya. Pero
It's
it has
what
like
Mythic
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 uh
Quest.
Quest.
Mythic
Yeah,
It's
Quest.
only 2 seasons
I've
pa
been wanting to
lang.
watch that
Yeah.
too. That's a good one.
Yeah. So ako like this week I've been catching up, not really catching up, but I was granted screeners to Succession season 3.
Woo!
So the
HBO.
best show on TV right now, Succession. So people often ask, what Succession? Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Because like it's an hour length show, but it's like for me what stands out from it, it's really the dialogue, like how witty and how
Yeah.
funny it can be. It's like one third black comedy. It's two-thirds black comedy and like one third introspective drama. So for those that don't know Succession, it's basically about the 1%. So it's a story of this family run by a Rupert Murdoch-esque patriarch,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically yung mga anak nila who were basically raised under this kind of environment, they try to one up each other to get his throne. So it's already 2 seasons in. The next season will be premiering on Sunday, I believe, October 17. So I caught the first 7 episodes, and I think it's even better than the last seasons kasi full on civil war na yung Roy
Yeah.
family.
So
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
Do
got
Yeah.
you
two
watch it na, Pam?
recommendations from
Yeah.
Tristan.
Succession.
That's
No.
Mythic
Yeah. Definitely
Quest
watched
and
Succession.
Succession.
Session.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
definitely have been up with that. I knew a guy who worked on it. He's actually from the Philippines. I remember when he was
Mm.
interning for it before it had a name, and then I was like, okay, just one of those other HBO shows that will probably have a good limited first
Best show
season
on
and
TV
then
right
maybe
now.
not
I'm
continue.
calling
But
it.
now it's the big thing. But anyway, mine is it's a it's a soft recommendation. It's almost me being a fan of like me being a secondhand fan of this thing. So I'm more amused with the whole concept of it. But a friend of mine, so for those of you who don't know, it's the international right now, which is the World Dota 2 Championships, which I myself don't follow, but I think they have like a $15 million prize pool or something. So obviously it's a big deal. And that's not the play of the week per se. My friend who's been following all the matches showed me that they started, I believe it's Twitch, started integrating. I think it's even called integration. They started integrating these plugins wherein you can actually interact with the game a bit. So even though you're watching these teams play Dota, you're watching that screen. If you've ever played games like those, if you hover your mouse over things, it'll like pop out like with like information on the items and stuff. You can see, you can like click and see what the players are like, which items they're buying or they picked up and all that stuff. So it adds a whole new level to how we watch esports, which it's so obvious. Like it's one of those things that you're like, oh duh, like this should have been the thing. But what fascinates what I find fascinating about it all is I've just loved watching how esports has evolved, even though I'm not a hardcore player. Because it kind of changes the way we consume sports in general. And I think sports and esports are like starting to borrow from each other. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like even like basketball or whatever, you'll have like all these like motion graphics and stuff like that. um and and then in esports naman, with their commentators, they're borrowing from the books of like sports commentators. So anyway, just being a general fan of how things are shifting now. So yeah, I mean, if you're a Dota follower, you probably don't need me to tell you it's the Dota International right now. And check it out on Twitch and stuff. Anyway, that's our show. Thanks so much, Luis.
Thank you for
Um,
having me.
Thanks, Luis.
before we forget, how can people check out and follow the Attic Room?
You can only follow us on Instagram. That's where we are available. Follow us at theatticroom.lu.
Yeah,
Nice.
so
And you can also
I'll
follow Lou.
remember
Lou.
that. Your
Tristan's already
your
booking his next trip. You can follow your hosts. I'm Powie at
Mhm.
Powie Fiction on Instagram. Tristan,
and I'm at Tristan Zinumpan across all platforms, even LinkedIn Live.
but mostly Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Just a few more thanks are in order. Thanks to Raptors production team. Thanks, Jaira, our community team, Ia and Gabby, and of course our creatives team. And of course, thank you out there for tuning in. If you haven't already, please follow Rappler on all platforms. You can catch us on Kumu by following Rappler.com and follow the Hustle Inside the Industry podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We bring you a new episode every Monday so you can start your week with a little motivation. Bye, everyone.